Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I just wanted to hop on today and offer some encouragement to all the homeschool working moms. So, which is every single homeschool mom. All homeschool moms are working at everything we have to do. So if we're homeschooling, we're working at homeschooling. We're working at juggling our kids growing and managing households. And a lot of us have also jobs outside the home or inside the home that we are bringing in extra income for the family. So most of you guys know that I have worked for decades as a counselor, some licensed professional counselor, and I took that job on to help support our homeschooling habits because I had five kids. And in order to be doing all the things that homeschool high schoolers wanted to do and pay the bills and everything else, there needed to be some more income in our home. And I chose to go into a career that built my skills and the things that I love because I love talking to people and I love helping people feel better. So I hope you feel better today listening to this episode about homeschooling with your teens while you are a working mom. So I know it can feel intimidating and it can feel tiring. Can I encourage you that you can do this? That there's not one right way to homeschool, and homeschooling for working moms can look a lot of different ways, and you can do it and your teens can do it. So let's think about this. Okay. So when you're facing high school with your teens, you want to sit down with them and talk about your priorities. Like, what are the most important things that you need and your teens need out of high school? And there's not a right or wrong set of priorities. I mean, your teens need to have their graduation requirements met, but there's a lot of different priorities that you can look at. So, um, do you want to make sure that your teens get through high school in their 4 years? Or do you have a teen that learns very, very, very differently and slowly and needs an extra year? Do you have one of those teens that is just kind of over being a teenager and ready to move on to the next and wants to graduate early? What is your timeline kind of priority? Is a priority being ready for the next things in life? What's going to happen after graduation? So it's a priority for you and your teens getting ready for college or getting ready for a vocation or exploring options for the military. There are so many different things that teens can start thinking about as they're going into high school. And as a mom, for you to make it a priority to help your teens explore these ideas, which reminds me that one of the best things you can do with your teens is some career exploration. So, Seven Sisters Homeschool has the career exploration course that I did with my teens and our local teens, and it's been one of our most popular courses at Seven Sisters Homeschool. So, back to the priorities. One of the priorities that you may want to choose is helping your teens clarify or discover what their gifts or their talents are, because God made each of our teens with something in their soul to discover and to contribute to their world, however big or small it is. One way to do that is help them discover their interests. And then is a priority helping them to develop that. One of the best things about homeschooling is teens very often have more time to invest in these gifts and talents and interests. And so you have teens that will build their transcript with lots of electives in their interest area. So it's so cool that they can do that. All right, another thing that might be a priority for you is how do you want to choose resources? So, looking around at all the resources that are available, there are umbrella schools, there are online courses that you can do one off, there are online schools, lots of homeschool umbrella schools online, like Funda Funda Academy, with our friend Meryl Van der Merwe from the Homeschooling with Technology podcast. Actually has a school and is really awesome. Um, so you have also just homeschooling at home. You can do textbooks, you can do unit studies. There's a whole bunch of different things. Are there also other things you want your teens to explore, especially like service? What kind of volunteer work do you want your teens to do? Okay. And while you're thinking about that with your high schoolers, what are your personal priorities? So, do you need to change your career? Do you need to advance up the ladder at career? Do you want to hold the status quo in your career? Is your main priority, we got to get these bills paid off? And so, some extra hours when you can build that in. Um, are you caregiving for an aging relative and you've got to work that in as a priority, or caregiving with a member of the family that has a chronic illness? So I will make sure there are links in the show notes and the comments to helpful things for these stuff. Um, Also, what if you have multiple children? It is harder to homeschool and work and have multiple kids, but you can do it. I had five. They've all grown up, they all graduated from college. Four of my five have like graduate degrees and beyond, and one that didn't need that has is a professional photographer, and she has done some very powerful photography with her career. So yeah, you can do multiple kids and work. Okay. So, think about your priorities, talk about all the priorities with your teens, because you want your teens buy in on this process. Whether you're working or not, you need your teens buy in on what they want. Remember this now, as you talk to your teen, as you talk to yourself, there's no such thing as a Pinterest perfect homeschool. There's no such thing. That's only on Pinterest. In real life, you're a real human and your whole family is full of real humans. And so you do what you can do and you do it with the best heart you can, but there's no perfect. So that's why we have God, to give us strength and encouragement and forgiveness if it's a bad day. So my motto, and I hope you will take this to heart, is G.K. Chesterton's quote. And a lot of you guys know the Father Brown mysteries. So G.K. Chesterton once said, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. I mean, really. So you may feel like your teens aren't getting the world's most amazing homeschool education. But if you guys stay aligned, if you stay together on this, they will get the education they need and you will get through it. And you may be tired, but motherhood's all about tired. So someday they're all grown up and out of the house. You can sleep in on those days. All right. So as you're going through this and talking with your teens, also remember to pray, because we need God in on this, and that's not cheesy. So then you start planning. I'm going to include links to our Seven Sisters blog post, and we call it The Authoritative Guide to Planning Homeschool High School. And we're also going to do an episode on that this year about planning. So there's not one right way to do it, but we've got tips. And if you do some planning before the school year, a 4-year overview and then a this year overview, you'll feel on top of things as you get ready to start. Okay. All right. One of our tools that we have at Seven Sisters is a scheduling backwards planner, and we're going to do an episode on that, on how to help your teens plan projects. But so we'll work on that over the year. What I want you to know now is that you can do this. Okay. We also are going to make sure that you have some training on syllabi. Keep your eye on the podcasts, and you will find training for you on how to create and use syllabi with your teens, because that's a good way to kind of help them modify things and keep them going along at their own pace. One thing you want to do is do one-on-ones with your teens. Like if you're working, you're not going to sit by them on the kitchen table all day long and watch them do their schoolwork. That's not how it's going to be. And in teens, you don't need to do that. The youngers, you may need to do that, and that's okay. But the teens, you should have more independent learning going on, but having one on ones regularly with them. And so we'll talk about how to do that in another episode as well. I encourage everyone to be in community as well. We homeschool working moms need that as much as anybody. So you have some working community, you have your church community, you have your family community. It is also good to have some homeschool community. And if all you have time for is some digital homeschool community, that's fine. And so I really encourage you to join Seven Sisters Homeschool Facebook group where you can share ideas, ask questions, and all the seventh sisters can share their wisdom and experience. So there's other groups like our friends at Simply Homeschool or Homeschool Mama Self Care. So we'll put links to all of these in the show notes because they're really good at encouraging digital communities. If you can find a local homeschool community to join where you can get to some events together with other homeschool moms, that's really nice. So I encourage you to look at the app for your phone. Is called Basecamp Ed. And our friend Morgan at the Homeschool Curious podcast has created this, and it helps you find the local homeschool groups, just so you got some other faces, okay? All righty. And so you got all these quick resources from me today. My point is you may need to be working to bring in some income. That's not a bad thing. You know, if this is what God has given you to do, then it's the right thing. And so you can work the process in the way that works for your family. You can have community in the homeschool world, digital or in person, and work with your teens and get this done. And they will be prepared well for the next phase of life. Okay, God bless you. We can do this. Contact us, Seven Sisters Homeschool Facebook group. Ask questions. You matter. We will get this done. All right, this has been the Homeschool High School podcast brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Thank you to Seth Tillman for editing, and we will see you all next week.